When the devil came, he was not red. He was chrome, 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 and he said, come with me. Come, come, come with me. You must go. So I went where everything was clean, so precise and towering.
Welcome to the 9-minute podcast. I'm your host, Andrew Dyer, coming to you from an undisclosed location. Now, I do want to just settle everybody, let you know that despite appearances, this is not going to be like, it looks like I'm going on Instagram Live to complain about wokeness, but that is not my intention, and I do apologize for the less than ideal circumstances of the stream. But you saw or heard we have music, brand new Bum TV theme song debuting tonight. We're back in the music business. And to tell us more about it, let's bring on producer John Cross. John, that's my first time hearing that. What was that fine tune we were just listening to?
That is Hell is Chrome. And I want to pull up give me a second, Travis Peterson's artwork here. For those who are watching on the video feed, it's going to cover both of us for a second here, so I didn't get a chance to do this a little better. But this is kind of a, I guess, up-tempo version of a Wilco song that is called Hell is Chrome. And we will, for those who aren't familiar with it, we will probably share some of the original lyrics because there's very few lyrics that are changed with this. But I would encourage people to pay attention to the lyrics. I think it fits very well for our pivot towards SDFC here. So let me take the overlay off so we can see each other. But I think Travis Peterson for the inspiration and Paul Topier for putting the actual music together. We just kind of got a taste of it. I will be smoothing out a better intro and outro for us, but we finally got the music for this episode, so we wanted to try it out here in the beginning and see what everyone thought as we get ready to put things together. So what were your thoughts?
Well, I might be biased, but I think it was awesome. That was great. That was perfect. I was disappointed when the show started because I wanted to hear the rest of the song, but it's okay. I think by the third or fourth episode, I'll just be tired of it like the last one, which I think is just normal. Actually, that's not true.
Good.
The last one, I never got really that tired of it. I thought it was really the last one was something special, and I think this one is going to grow on me the same way.
Yeah, I think for people who aren't familiar with the lyrics or maybe didn't pick them up on the first time around, I think if you get the lyrics and kind of listen to it, you kind of have an idea why some people pick this as a potential song for us to use. Again, and
I didn't listen. I'm just going on vibes.
SDFC.
I did not listen.
Yeah.
I did not listen to the lyrics. I'm just going on vibes, 100%. I'm gonna take your word for it.
Very different version of the original Wilco song, which is quite slow, I guess. And this is kind of a punked up version of that song.
Oh, you mean the Wilco doesn't have a punk song? Jeff Tweedy didn't
but not of that
pump
one.
Up Okay, so there's a lot of stuff to get to. We were talking before the show, kind of texting back and forth, and I was like, dude, this is going to be for my car. We just get in and out and just say what we got to say. And you're like, hell no, we got a bunch of stuff to talk about. A lot of things are happening. Like, you basically just smacked me down and said, no, we're doing the full 109th minute. So I'm here for it. a lot of news I think is coming out of both the club met with some of the supporter groups. So I think we're going to get a little bit of a debrief of that from you. I hope so. And there are more events coming up, including an all supporter group kind of a family event uh, coming up that just can't wait for the next episode because it's this week. So um, I'm just going to toss it up to you. What do you want to hit first?
All right. Well, let's talk a little bit about the FO meeting and then kind of go from there with the events. Because one of the things we have complained about, I guess it would be fair to say, over the last few weeks is we just haven't had much to talk about. We keep promising things were coming. And last week we got to mention the merch. And I guess while we're talking about merch, maybe we should jump in. The deadline for that, because I think we haven't quite met our minimums on a couple of items, is still available. So if you haven't ordered any of the new merch yet, the couple of sweatshirt options or t-shirt options, be sure to go into Discord and click on the link and get your pre-order in so we can get those orders submitted. So that has been extended just a little bit longer to keep those open. But that was our big news we had last week. And then after this meeting we had with our supporter group family and the SDFC front office, once that meeting happened and the supporter group family got to speak with each other and make some plans, there are a whole bunch of events now planned and coming up. And the FO gave us some SDFC events that are coming up. So we have March is a busy month all of a sudden, and April looks like it's going to be pretty busy as well. So we want to make sure we get some of those things out. Let's just start with this week right away, depending on when you listen to this. Our first big thing is drum circles. I know you're big on drum circles, Andrew. This Friday is going to be our first big drum circle event. And the idea behind this one is not just for drummers to get together, but everybody. We want to get as many people out this Friday to the drum circle practice to start learning some new chants, to see old friends you haven't seen in a while, maybe since the last big event, and to meet people from the other supporter group that we are going to be standing shoulder to shoulder with once we start our 2025 season. So, Andrew, I'll just get your thoughts. First, we'll give all the details in a second, but are you excited about a drum circle event finally and getting some people together?
Well, I'm just now learning about it, so that's exciting. To I remember before. I think it was before Loyal kicked a ball. We had a drum circle at Machete. I don't know if it was pre 2020 or if it was when we were about to come back. It must have been before. I can't remember. It must have been before. And everybody that was there at that drum circle, just about, were the drummers in 109 for all 3 seasons that we really were in there. And yeah, it's this is kind of one of the more important things for the transition to an MLS supporter section because it's just everything's so much bigger. Whereas we had, at the most, 9 drums, like 3 bass drums, a couple of snares, and some toms and some various other drums that people would bring. This is going to be, I don't know what it's going to look like. I think every MLS section is a little different with the drums, but it's going to be important that everybody is on like the same page, that we know the chants, that we know the parts of the chants, and that when we are performing in the stadium, because being a member of a supporter group is a performance. You really have to think about it. I mean, that's the way I think about it. Going into a game is like I'm clocking in. I mean, most jobs don't let you drink beer, but I'm punching the clock when I go and play a drum because I'm committing to play that drum nonstop for an entire soccer match, which can be hell on the fingers until you get those calluses developed, but it's work, and especially if you want it to sound good and you want to be consistent at that. So this is where all of that starts. We don't just show up on game day and sound the way we sound. The reason 109 sounded the way it sounded was because of events like this week's.
Right. And they're fun events to go and hang out. So this particular one on Friday is going to be at Snapdragon. It's not going to be if anybody's been to one of ours in Shavos before, as really, I would say Shavos probably organized these a little more than we did. But if you've ever been to one of these, we usually did the grass right as you come in there by Snapdragon. This one is going to be closer to the actual trolley station. And we're kind of tagging on to the Dago Boys, which apparently have started doing a Friday drum circle. So they're going to try to do this ongoing on Fridays, just as a standing thing from 6 to 8 at that location under the trolley stop at Snapdragon from 6 to 8. Like most drum circles, bring your own food and beverages and hang out and meet people and learn the songs. But we're really trying to make this a big event to kind of give everybody a chance to meet each other. We have right now 5 official supporter groups. Everyone has agreed to be there, get as many of the leadership from each of those groups there, and try to bring as many people from each supporter group there so that we can start doing things together a little bit, especially for our match day type operations. So there'll be one this Friday, the 8th, and next Friday, the 15th. These are the 2 big ones. And then they'll continue to do Friday drum circles there. But the other ones will be a little more for people who really want to get in with the drums and maybe be a part of it and learn the routines. And I know you've been a big drummer with us.
I would expect that, we tried to kind of do it in 109 and never really worked the way we wanted it to work. But nobody should expect to show up to a match and you're just going to play a drum. This will be unlike the 109 experience. I think there will be a lot more control over who is allowed to drum. Like, everybody can drum if you can drum, and we're going to make sure that you can drum at one of these kind of drum circles. So not only is it a practice, but it's also for some folks maybe it's a tryout if you haven't, if that's the way I think it will be moving forward. Right now you're in on the ground floor. Everybody who shows up, I think you're a drummer, but moving forward, as the team grows and the supporter group grows and people want to come in and start participating, it's going to require some of this, I think, work, and it will be, I think, a stricter control over drums, just like anything with the MLS supporter group, where not everybody who gets in the stadium is going to be able, there's going to be a process to even get your seat in the supporter section. It's not going to be a free-for-all like 109 was. So a lot of changes coming forward if you're expecting a 109 experience.
And the other, on the instrument side, there was a lot of talk on Thursday night amongst the various supporter groups about adding some horns in.
Man, I'll believe it when I see it. There's always a lot of talk about adding horns.
The call's out there for anybody who might be a horn player, who might be interested. Okay. This is your chance. Come out. We've got 11 months here to practice and put something together. So we'll put the call out there if we've got any horn players who are interested in maybe contributing into the section.
Conceptually, it's a great idea. I love horns. I played saxophone in high school. I'm all about some horns. There are issues, very practical musical issues with incorporating horns into a supporter section, because we have songs and chants, and horns, you have to tune them. They have to be in key. You cannot just blow your horn with another horn player and expect for it to sound right, because it won't. You have to tune. It's just like a guitar. If you strum all 6 strings and they're not in tune, it's going to sound like shit. You have to tune the guitar to make sure all the strings are in the proper pitch away from one another so that it sounds right. And the same thing with a horn. So I'm skeptical of a successful horn incorporation. If we can do it, it would be phenomenal. I'm just
Right.
skeptical that you're going to get an entire supporter section of people who are singing in all kinds of different keys and to varying degree of musicality to somehow incorporate uh, in toned instruments like horns.
Right.
I'm sorry. Maybe I'm sounding like a real negative person right now, but practically, I'm skeptical. I'll leave it there.
All right. And I'm going to say, if you have a horn, bring it. And we'll try it out and see how it works.
Let's see. Yeah, let's see.
All right. So after the drum circles in April, we teased this the last time, and it looks like the date is firming up that we will have an all SG bonfire, probably on Fiesta Island on Saturday, April 20th. The exact times are still to be determined. So we're still looking at that event as happening. So make sure you pencil that in on your calendar. We'll give you more details as we get a little closer. But there's also a big the team, we learned, the SDFC would like to do a rally for all the supporters. So I know some dates were thrown around, and there's no dates that have been solidified, but right now, one of the working weekends to try to have this would be early April, like probably the 5th or the 7th, which is Final Four weekend. So we're looking at maybe doing it on a Friday or a Sunday because of the Final Four tournament there wrapping up for March Madness. But that will be something that would be hosted by the FO, and think about events that we did with the Loyal, like at Modern Times or somewhere else. So think of something along those lines, and they'd probably offer a Q&A session and give some information about the team. But it will be a SG specific event for our family of supporter groups. So that is likely, it's coming at some point, but it's likely coming in early April. So again, keep that date or weekend maybe a little bit available. As we get more details, we will share those with you. But that will be a SDFC putting that on for supporter groups. So what do you think, Andrew, about where, like, I think this is the first time other than these Chrome Ball tours where they're really reaching out into the community, this feels like the first big event that they're doing specifically for supporters. What are your thoughts?
I think it's good. I mean, nobody ever turned down a free beer from the San Diego Loyal. But I am a little bit wary of being a little too integrated with the front office as a supporter section. I think at this stage of things and the relationship that we have with the people that are in the front office that we know, I'm not that concerned about it. I mean, it seems fine to me, but I just think that we have to be conscientious of the ways that we choose to integrate with the front office. And it's just like when we were doing the buses to go up to Orange County, and the club stepped in and helped us pay for the bus. Like, was that an overstep? No, that was, I think, greatly appreciated and really helpful for the SG, because we could then put that money to beer instead of the bus. So I'm not that worried about it. I do think that we have to always at least have that conversation when we talk about these kind of integrating things. I mean, taking money from the club, I'm all for it, but I think anytime we're going to be taking money from the club, then it's just it's something we have to talk about and just
Sure.
I trust the folks at the heads of these supporter groups to, at least at the heads of the ones that I know, the heads that I know, anyway, to do the right thing here. But yeah, that's always something that it's going to be, at the back of my mind is that word independence. We have to protect that independence.
Right. Right. And then if we continue with SDFC stuff, they are starting a series of happy hours, and Jerry Jimenez will be hosting on behalf of SDFC. Now, I'm not sure hosting means purchasing anything, but we'll be available to talk. And it's a supporter group idea for both people who are currently in a supporter group to come and hang out and meet with people, and kind of like the Chrome Ball tour events going around to different areas around the county. These happy hours will be going to different pubs and breweries around the county and trying to get people within those communities to come out who either are part of the supporter group or want to be part of the supporter group. So as the team identifies people who might be interested in the supporter group, they're going to direct them to their website, which now lists all 5 supporter groups and their contact information. Since if you're going to be in the supporter section, you got to be one of those part of
Now,
one
are
of
they
those supporter
listed in
groups.
order, in any particular order? Is it
Yeah,
in order of
alphabetical.
like? Oh, okay.
So we're
So
last.
I think they put us under
the locals.
We're
yeah.
under the. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. So we're last up there. But in terms of just, I guess, for everyone to know that the club shared with us, because they've done some forms and have people fill out different things like, do you want to be a supporter? Do you want to be, just general admission or whatever, like where you think you might want to sit. Well, they shared with us there were a rather large number of people, more than 2,000 total, who identified as some kind of supporter, but it was a little tricky the way the form was. It's not really like someone necessarily said, I want to be in that section, shoulder to shoulder, standing all game. So an email's gone out to all these people who had identified in some way of wanting to be involved in supporters or supporter culture, and redirecting them back to the website of SDFC, which in turn will give them to us. So there's potentially for all the SGs a chance over these next few weeks to really grow if any of those people are seriously interested in being part of the supporter culture and didn't just choose an option maybe because it was identified with a low ticket price, on a certain form, and that's why they picked that category. So we'll see. We'll see if there's an influx of members coming into any of the supporter groups, but that is another reason for all these different events, is to try to get people connected to the supporter group family in general, if you want to stand there, but also help them figure out and identify which group is the best fit for them individually.
Like people who have lightsabers at home.
Right. Yeah.
Anyway, let me just say,
yeah.
you can have a lightsaber and still be a local. You don't have to join the Star Wars group. And in fact, you can actually join both groups, I would imagine. I intend on joining probably every supporter group just because I'm that person that I really, I get it. We all have our own identities and our own ways of doing things and all of that. But I really look at the supporters as being one group. We're one supporter section. I really feel akin with the members of other supporter groups because that sense of like purpose during the match. So whenever I make jokes about having a lightsaber, it's just a joke. I don't want anybody to think otherwise.
Well, as anybody who's been part of our supporter group knows, we have some diehard Star Wars fans within our supporter group.
I'm not.
I know. Just because there is one identified.
I'm one of them. I'm one of them, John. I am a Star Wars fan. Just a normal one, not
just a normal one.
Yes.
All right. So let me see what else of the big things. there was something that you said that reminded me of something that wasn't in my notes, and now I can't remember what it is. Oh, I was going to talk about the Santee event. So we did have a Chrome Ball event this last weekend in the rain, and the pouring rain at times.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
But it was a lot of rain and a lot of people. There were a lot of people. A lot of people came by the tent. We gave a lot of interest. I know we had some new people sign up. I don't know if they're return people, because a couple of the names looked familiar to me, or they're new people. But we had a lot of interest coming by our tent, at least. It was hard to tell with the other tents only because it was raining a lot and it was just hard to get around to the other tents because the weather at times was quite miserable. But I think the type of event they had in Santee, it wasn't the small-sided street soccer type event. It was 7v7 and 11v11 matches. And you had a lot more middle school and high school age players that were there, and maybe just even a little older. So a lot of people who are old enough to have started to buy into international soccer and some of the culture. And a lot of those people and their families were stopping by the tents to get some more information about us. And we had some little, I think, better things at our tent, some pictures of us in action, which really drew people in. So I think those helped a lot. But it was, of the ones I've been to, that was probably the biggest interest. Instead of people just being curious about it, or just kind of keep a note, this seemed to be the bigger interest of people. Like, I want to be part of that section. So we'll see if that generates some more members as we move forward.
Yeah, that's good to hear. I was not able to make it to Santee. My kid had a soccer game in Orange County, and yeah, it was raining up there too, and wow, really miserable. Usually they cancel games because they're on grass fields, and the cities don't let you play soccer in the rain on their nice grass fields. But this one was on turf, and the game went on, and wow, it was a real experience in that downpour. But I can only imagine what it was like in Santee with these players. And you know, I like the way that the club is integrating the. I mean, I guess it makes sense, right? You're a soccer team. You're going to have soccer at these events. Um, but it's very cool to have this tournament structure and letting people actually compete for something. And I saw on socials there was they were giving out little shields and stuff for the winners, and I think that's super cool. And uh, it's it's a very, I think, a savvy way to get people buying into what you're
Yeah.
doing.
I would once again encourage people, if they haven't made it out to an event yet, come out to one of these events. It was great. I see Jeff in the chat. I talked with Jeff for quite a bit. He came out there because we are in his local neighborhood. But it's good. It's good just to talk to people out there when they come out. But also, like, you don't have to work the tent. I know we're always asking for volunteers and someone to come out there, but it's nice just to get some people out there and hang out, especially when it's in your neighborhood. But even if you have an open weekend, if you get a chance, come on out. It is a lot of fun hanging out with the gang again, right? You know, it just kind of feels like you're getting back into doing the things we love doing. So our next one is coming up at the end of this month in, let's see, Carlsbad. It'll be Sunday, March 24th. And then that's going to be the last Chrome Ball Tour event till May 4th down in Chula Vista. So, which is going to be probably one of the biggest events down there for the Chrome Ball Tour. But if you get a chance, if you're in North County or you have some extra time, head on up to Carlsbad on Sunday the 24th. Come out, either help us out of the tent or just come by and say hi and check out all the activities. But that's the next Chrome Ball Tour event. And other than that, I know we're trying to keep it tight for you, Andrew, because I know you're not in the best of environments, and I want to thank you again for showing up and doing this on the road. literally
Hey,
sitting in your
I think
car.
it's super important that we do these every week. I want everybody in the supporters group to know that uh, just because there's no soccer, that we are still doing things. We are still busy. We are still here. We are still a community, and we are trucking along into this new world. And it's really starting to get exciting as these things come together. I hope I can make it Friday to the drum circle. I think that's going to be a great opportunity to connect with folks. And also, I'm really interested to see or hear new chants. We've been playing the same songs for 4 seasons, and I'm ready for some new ones. I really am.
Right.
And I'm also ready to hear how some of these may have been repurposed for SDFC, some of our other other chants. So really exciting to kind of get back into that. Um, and yeah, just everything coming up with the club. So the club is meeting with the supporters monthly, right? That hasn't accelerated yet. It's still monthly.
Still monthly. There will be we'll probably have about 20 representatives from the locals, somewhere around there. There will be a big stadium walkthrough event coming up in April to kind of
Okay.
work with all the SGs and the SG family, and we'll be sending out different things to get input from our members. But to try to envision what match day is actually going to look like at Snapdragon,
Yeah.
pregame all the way through postgame, and
Now,
and
at this meeting on Thursday, I would imagine the subject of the supporters union came up. Did did we get anywhere on that?
I would say conversations are ongoing right now, and I'd say they're progressing. That's probably about the where I'd like to say they are. Are we concrete somewhere where there's a name and anything else? No, we're not there yet. I don't know when we'll actually get to that point, but conversations were had on Thursday amongst SG members, like one-on-one conversations and bigger group conversations. And part of those conversations of trying to work towards the idea of a union were to get everybody out to these drum circles, to start to get everybody together so we can get to know each other, um, and participate and have some of that happen hopefully a little more organically than trying to force something to happen. So I would say conversations are happening. These events are some of those initial things of getting people together, but leadership members are talking amongst the groups to try to figure out what kind of framework works best for San Diego, right? Because you got lots
Hmm.
of models around the country for how people do it, especially in Major League Soccer. So which one is going to work best for San Diego as a wider community, but also for each of the individual supporter groups moving forward? So right now, I think that's where we are in the process of debating some of the merits of the different ones and trying to figure out what's a good model maybe to emulate so we don't have to reinvent the wheel and move
Yeah.
forward from there.
Great, great. So yeah, I probably should get to one of these meetings at some point. Um, I think as far as locals go, I am on the committee for the union. So uh, as that progresses, I should have more to bring to the table as far as the podcast goes and helping
Yeah,
people stay updated. I'm glad to hear that people are not touching the Chrome ball. I saw that in the chat, so I'm glad to hear that that the message got out there. Um, so yeah, uh, well, John, I think we do have some other before we get out of here. A local soccer happening. Is there a tournament going on at Snapdragon right now?
Yeah, that was gonna be the thing I closed with is if you are not aware, which I hope almost everybody who's listening to this is aware, we record this on Tuesdays. Always on Wednesday are the semifinals for the Gold Cup, and you've got two great games, doubleheader, U.S. and Canada in the evening, and Mexico and Brazil before that. I do know that there are a lot of people from the different supporter groups. I know from Sirens, there's going to be there's a lot of people planning to go this game. I saw some links in Discord. So again, a good reason to be on Discord as well, floating around to help get $20 tickets. I will not be able to go. I actually have something planned. But if you're thinking even for last minute tickets, last I saw there are tickets available and you can probably get some at a decent price and go check out some good soccer matches tomorrow. Are you going to make it out there, Andrew?
No, the week is really tough for me. Getting as you can tell, it's tough for me. Sometimes my schedules are pretty packed, but I wish I could go.
Yeah, I do as well, but I have something. This week especially is pretty booked for me, especially if I go to the drum circle on Friday. So I don't know. I was maybe an outside chance of going to the championship match on Sunday, but I have to see how my schedule plays out.
Well, all right. Unless we don't have, do we have anything else we got to hit, or are we good for the
Nope,
week?
those are the big things. Oh, one last thing. We do have someone who is offered. I want to thank Steve Ball for helping to help get and Espen Carell as well to help get our emails going so we can get those going back out to our members because not everybody's on Discord and not everybody watches the podcast. So look for those. Hopefully,
What?
if we get everything together,
Who's not watching?
Email.
Who's not listening to the podcast? I want names.
You will get an email this week. Right now, it's going to be the first and third Thursday of the month. We eventually want it to be weekly, but we're going to start bi-weekly for right now until we get everything worked out. But we'd like to thank them for stepping up and helping getting that organized so we can have just another way of getting important SG member information out
the
to
discussion
everyone.
Yeah, the discussion was it's going to be like a newsletter, so very very organized and brief and useful information. So I'm glad that we are branching out and making sure that every member is getting all of this information. It'd be easier if they would just jump on the stream or listen to the podcast on your podcast app. We are on all platforms. Like and subscribe, please. You can rate us in whatever your podcast app store.
That's right.
Your podcast, whatever. That I think helps as well for when people search. San Diego soccer. We're one of the ones that comes up.
Yep. All right, that's all I got. Andrew, you got anything else?
No, I told you that despite being in my car, I didn't mention wokeness one time. I'm not talking about Hunter Biden. No talk of the picture in the VA that was the big outrage of the day. So yeah, no rants on my end. In fact, I feel like I've been pretty positive.
All right, well, I'm going to try to get our music going. Again, we'll see how we close this out, but we'll try something. So bear with me if there's a little hiccup as we get going out the show. But other than that, Andrew, we'll see you next week.
All right, next week. Bye, y'all.